Balls are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back to Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Reddit it to do and welcome into more important issues. It is Thursday, December 2nd. Caleb is not with us tonight. It's Joe, and me and him did not mean to do this, but we had to support Jawan Jennings' touchdown this weekend for the 49ers. So, yeah, all in fun.
That's right.
We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got Alontae declaring for the NFL draft. We'll have thoughts on that. We have the stadium renovations are starting to take place, so we got some thoughts and maybe some prayers on that as well. And some recruiting news. Got a big weekend for official visitors and stuff like that, so we got plenty of news there. If y'all have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. We are also talking about Vols Hoops win over Presbyterian on Tuesday night, and I hope y'all took – my bracelet just broke. I hope y'all took Tennessee's over on points, because if you did, that hit, and that's what I did. I don't know if you took anything, Joe, but that's the one thing I took.
No, I say it like probably twice a week, but I'm retired officially right now from betting. I took Duke money line, and I took it all the way till 5 minutes, and it was to win like $80, and I could cash out for 75, and I got greedy, and I did what I always do, and I was like, nah, they're up 9 with like 2 minutes left. So I'm done. I deleted the app, all of it. So
yeah, that was trash.
It was awful.
Absolute trash. Didn't they not? They didn't score for like the last 4 minutes and 29 seconds, right?
They got outscored by like 20 points in the second half. It was ridiculous, but
that's crap. Yeah, I took that too. I didn't have $80 on it, but I did have 20, so that sucked.
Yeah, it hurt.
But yeah, after that, we'll talk some college football. I'm sure we'll talk some coaching carousel as well. And then our segments. But let's get into this Alontae Taylor. Apparently he was dealing with an injury, a foot injury, the past couple weeks. Stuck it out and played through that. And then, he's going to sit out the bowl game and prepare for and get healthy for the Senior Bowl and the NFL draft. My thoughts originally, I was just like, man, that sucks. Not for him to do that, but it sucks for the team to have one of their leaders that, and I'm sure he'll be a part of it, but to not have one of your senior leader, or I guess he's technically he could come. Yeah, he is a senior.
Yeah, he still has one more year, I think. Technically.
Yeah, he could come back and use that COVID year if he wanted to. But yeah, not having him on the field after having such a good year sucks. But, man, if you got the opportunity to go get paid, I get it. It's not like Tennessee's in the college football playoff. I don't – it's not like he's quitting on this team. He could have quit a long time ago on this team, on this program, and didn't and stuck it out. So, props to him on a great season. Wish he was playing in the bowl game, but, hey, you got to do what's best for you, and I'm going to respect his decision.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's not like a huge bowl game. It's nothing like, obviously, it's not college football playoff or any New Year's Bowl or anything. So, I mean, it's a shame. Like you said, he's been a leader for, he stuck with us when he really didn't have to. There's a lot of moments that he could have done what everybody else did, but he stuck around and stayed a leader on the team. And it's a shame that, he doesn't get that last bowl game. But like you said, it's probably smart to stick it out and heal up for that Senior Bowl at the end of January and get that check. Try to get his draft stock up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely improve his stock for that Senior Bowl. That's what a lot of people – I don't think Marquez – I think Juwan ended up getting drafted just because of that. Senior Bowl. So yeah, when you got a chance to compete like that and really increase your draft stock, you got to do that. So yeah, props to him again. Um, he was part of Jeremy Pruitt's first recruiting class, so made it past an entire coaching era at Tennessee. He was actually committed to Butch Jones, and then started as a wide receiver, then moved to DB, and has been a starter for 4 years at Tennessee. So did a fantastic job and has been a great ambassador and leader for this football program for years. So wish him the best and go get paid.
Yeah, certainly.
Get that check. Jerome Carvin also coming back. I don't think we talked about it on. Was it mentioned on Monday or Sunday night? I don't think we talked about it in our show on Monday, but Tennessee could possibly have four. Will probably have 4 of their 5 starters back on that offensive line.
Yeah, that'd be huge. I mean, like we said, we're already paper thin right now, so as much experience and players back that we can get is obviously going to be key for the team instead of bringing in new freshmen and trying to cut down on an even more paper thin roster. So as many as we can get back, I will take gladly.
Yeah, for sure, and he's a leader on this team as well. So definitely want to get him back. You do have to replace Cade Mays, so that's going to be a tough task to do. It's probably going to be an All SEC first teamer, but if they're able to find somebody that's serviceable at that tackle position, whether it be Jeremiah Crawford, whether it be Kayron Calvert if he comes back, Dane Davis, or somebody in the portal, got to find a way to get somebody to. I guess you can't match what Cade Mays did, I guess, this season, but at least close to it.
Sorry, my sound's all messed up.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So, also, Alontae presented Velus Jones with his. You saw the video on Twitter of him presenting Velus Jones with his Senior Bowl invite. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were roommates.
I didn't either. And I knew Velus was from Mobile, but I didn't put Mobile, like him going to the Senior Bowl and that together until they, brought it up in that video. But that's really cool for him to, for that being a part of his hometown and for him to go back and get to compete in that and hopefully improve his draft stock as well.
Yeah, I think Mel Kiper for ESPN has him at 12th for his position right now, which I know he'd probably like to improve, just especially because that position's not going to be huge in the draft. So, like you said, we'll hometown show out for him. But yeah, go for him.
And what's going to really help Velus Jones is like his returning ability. It's kind of finally clicked where the Falcons finally realized how to use Cordell Patterson, but it took a long time for people to actually utilize his skill set. So hopefully, Velus kind of falls in that same category where he's, can be one of the best punt returners, be one of the best kick returners in the league. Somebody just has to utilize that skill set. So hopefully he's able to get to a place where they do actually utilize that because dude's electric in the return game.
Yeah, I feel like Tennessee is pretty good at having that underrated talent that gets in the draft, and whether they get drafted or they go undrafted, they end up on a team, and like within a year or two, there's something sparks, and you're like, oh well. I figure as Vol fans, we knew it was coming, but nobody else, So hopefully he settles into that, or shows out even beforehand. But let's hope, like you said, Cordell Patterson, Falcons did not know what they were doing, but now he's everywhere. He's insane. So same with Marquez Callaway for the Saints. He first. With their wide receiver depth, he wasn't figured to be a top key at all, and now he's starting every game and has a decent stat. So I'd hope that Dills can do the same thing. And like you said, using him as a returner would be fantastic.
Yeah, I saw a tweet from a 49ers fan, and it was like, who is Jawan Jennings and why is he so good? I'm like, dude, have you not been on Vol Twitter at all? I know you're in California, but I'm sure we've hit that area too. You haven't seen anything about Jawan Jennings just being an absolute dog. But he found out on Sunday, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, as long as they peak eventually, it's coming.
Yeah.
You just gotta wait for it. I do what I do every year. I always draft those Vol wide receivers as like my last pick or pick them up on the waivers, and it's worked for Kamara. Marquez Callaway not as much, but it's my strategy.
There you go. I like that. Got to get I guess they're not hometown kids, but they kind of are in a way.
Represent.
Speaking of kids and towns, got a lot of kids coming to town this weekend for official visits. Tennessee staff is on the road right now. Going, the contact period is going on right now, so they are going in home with commits, recruits that they're high on. So some of those guys is a 4-star running back Justin Williams, 4-star linebacker Demario Tolan, that's committed to LSU, 3-star safety Jordan Thomas, who is trending toward Tennessee. He recently just decommitted from Mississippi State, and 4-star wide receiver and ECU commit Caleb Webb. And I think we went in home with Georgia commit and 4-star defensive lineman Tyree West. So that's one to kind of keep an eye on as well. But the official visitor list is a big one, and we'll start with a big one who will be there on Saturday. Won't get in until then because he's playing in the state championship tomorrow night against Page for Powell High School, and that's 5-star defensive lineman Walter Nolan. Then you got 4-star wide receiver Caleb Webb, 3-star edge Darren Agu, who's committed to Vanderbilt, 3-star linebacker Elijah Herring, that's committed to the Vols, 3-star junior college cornerback Desmond Williams. Then you got the number 1 JUCO player in the country, 4-star defensive lineman Jeffrey Mba. He's French. Mba. Try that one.
Yeah, that one's gonna be a little tricky. Mba.
Mba.
When I first saw that, I figured that's how it was, but
yeah, Bob Kessling is gonna struggle with that one.
Yeah. No, for real though, I felt like every time I went on Twitter today, some member of the recruiting staff was in somebody's home. Like I just kept seeing new pictures. Like, damn, like we're traveling deep, but good for them. We got the early signing period come up in 2 weeks, so it's good to try to get some things locked in and get back on that recruiting trail with the season coming up to an end.
Yeah, I'm sure we're using a ton of gas and airplanes right now.
Yeah, that private plane that's
Using it up.
untrackable.
Right, yeah. You can't track it. And then 3-star safety Jordan Thomas, who I recently just said is decommitted to from Mississippi State, and then 4-star wide receiver CJ Smith. He is a Florida commit, so they went in home with him this past week as well. Kind of late getting in his recruitment. Haven't really heard much about him, so we'll see kind of what happens there. But yeah, definitely some big time prospects in town this weekend. So we'll see that. We'll follow it. If you follow us on Twitter, we'll have all of that for you guys. And that's kind of all I got from recruiting. Dan Mullen, did you see this story?
Not specifically. I don't know right off the top of my head.
So maybe this is why CJ Smith is wanting to look at other schools. Dan Mullen had somebody. This is a report, so I don't know if this is for sure. Hopefully it is because it's hilarious. He had somebody texting recruits acting as Dan Mullen. So he was just like catfish. Like it's kind of creepy, kind of weird. Sounds illegal. I mean, these kids are like RNAT. You can't just act like whoever.
It's valid.
That's
right up his alley, though. I mean, it seems like he's too busy doing weird Dan Mullen stuff. He's like, hey, send a text, little catfish. Yo, it's Dan Mullen. What's going on? Like, I want to be, I want you to come to Florida.
So you can kiss my wife on the mouth.
Yeah, exactly. That's the next move is to pretend it's Megan Mullen using the text. Pretend it's her too.
Yeah.
The recruits seem to love hers.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell Josh Heupel he needs to do anything like that. I'm not against that. That's one recruiting pitch that I will not condone.
No, we're not about that. Stick to
stick to McDonald's bags. That's a lot better than that. Do we have any questions up? I have some questions that we can kind of get to real quick if you want to. If you have any that come through, just let me know.
Okay. Yeah, we had a couple on Twitter previously.
First one I have is from Brittany Evans. She says, "Do we know any more on if Hendon Hooker will be coming back?" We haven't heard for sure. I mean, he's going to take his time and hear from the NFL Draft Council or whatever it is. He's going to hear from those scouts to see kind of where he stands in regards to the NFL. But I would be shocked if Hendon Hooker isn't back next year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't necessarily. His stock isn't. It's not where he could be after another season, especially what he did this year with the second year coming in behind him. I don't see why you wouldn't, unless there's another reason that we just aren't aware of that's making him eager to. But if I'm him, I'm coming back knowing pretty confident that I'm going to be a starter and that basically everyone's behind you, hoping that you do well. And you know what? Put on the Heisman show. Let's at least get his name in the running.
Yeah, let's play a full season and see what he can do.
Exactly.
And you got a lot of people coming back. I mentioned 4 of the 5 offensive linemen return. Cedric Tillman is number 1 target, should be back. He's another guy that I would be shocked if he's not back. He's a senior, so he has that 1 COVID year as well. Yeah, those 2 guys I feel like should come back. I feel like there's a lot of football ahead of them. And with the NIL, it's not like they can't make any money here. And Hendon Hooker, I mean, he has a ton of opportunities to make a lot of NIL money next season. If he comes back and had the year he did last year, oh, yeah. I mean, all those local, the cookies or whatever, I don't know. I don't even know the moonshine cookies that Alontae did. Car dealerships. I mean, they're going to want the starting quarterback. And, he could probably make more money here than he would on a practice squad.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about that just with how new it is. But that's another factor is to just see, like, you're right, starting quarterback, especially in Knoxville, like, with everybody piling on to, like, how obviously, like, big football is. I get it if you're at just some school that you're not, entirely sure. But, yeah, you're right. Those NIL deals, you have a decent chance if you do it right with your agents and getting good contracts. You can make probably more money than you would where he's at right now, I'd say, with his draft stock and where he might end up. I mean, who knows what would happen with that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about money, I guess it's hard to try to make a decision for a kid, but man, I'd come back. That's just me. Maybe I'm just a homer, but I'd come back.
I would too.
Tim Smith also said, "Why aren't they working on the east?" Or this is actually a renovation question, so we'll get to that in a second. We have Dub himself says, "Who would y'all rather see win this weekend, Georgia or Bama?" Man,
I want to say Bama just for the fun of chaos. We've said it, chaos is awesome. And
yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
Stir it up, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I mean, I would, I'd line 6.5, and
Can they both lose? Is that possible?
What's that?
Can they both lose? Is that possible?
Yeah, exactly. Technically, the question is, I mean, like, I would love if they both lost and just stirred it up even more. But
Right.
I mean, I guess I'd have to say I'd like to see Georgia lose just for chaos. Why not? Tennessee's not in it, so why not just stir it up as much as possible, make it as entertaining?
The bad thing is if Georgia loses, they're both going to get in.
That's the annoying
The
part. That's
playoff.
the SEC bias that we'll hear about for the whole week.
Hey, hopefully one day it helps us out.
Hopefully once we expand, we can get that.
Yeah, when Hendon Hooker comes back next year, I mean, natty.
Yeah,
easy.
Heisman, Natty, SEC championship, everything. We're going on a full run.
We should. I don't know why, but I screenshotted a picture of South Carolina's statue of the $1 million cock that they have outside their stadium.
Screenshot.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I have it. I think somebody said something about like it was about the Mark Stoops thing, about him getting a statue, and everybody's like, somebody was like, "Why is everybody so mad about that?" No one knows the statues of like South Carolina and all this. So I took a picture of that and I was like, actually, this is what South Carolina wanted to put in front of their stadium. So I'd rather have Mark Stoops too, even though he's got a weird haircut. I would rather have that than $1 million cock outside of my stadium.
Right. Yeah, I feel like maybe check yourself before we start talking about that because there's a baseline there. If you're starting at $1 million cock, Mark Stoops is going to be an automatic upgrade.
Yeah, he's a $900,000 cock.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Also, Rocky Dennison said, "Can someone tell me if Brandon Turnage is healthy? We need someone who's experienced to replace Alontae in the bowl game." Well, Brandon Turnage, I think, is healthy for the most part, but he's also behind Danico Slaughter at that nickelback position. So I don't think he's worked much at corner. I think we'll see Warren Burrell and Kamal Hadden as your starting cornerbacks. Brandon Turner just seems to be behind. When he played in that game against Missouri, Theo was out, and then Nico Slaughter was out, and that's why he was in the game. He had a really good game, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. But it seems like right now, Danico Slaughter is the backup behind Theo Jackson, not Brandon Turnage. And Brandon Turnage hasn't really worked much at corner, from what I understand.
Yeah, I don't see why they make any change in what they've already been doing in terms of replacing Alontae. Obviously, they don't have him accessible, but whoever those two backups would be in a normal situation if he was injured for any regular season game, I don't see why you try anything different. I would just stick with whatever the next two on the depth chart would be.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe he gets a run at corner. I wouldn't hate that. I don't necessarily think Warren Burrell's had a fantastic year. It just seems like the last couple games he's gotten picked on. Got picked on against South Alabama, got picked on against Vanderbilt. So I wouldn't mind seeing somebody else get some reps, whether that be Kenneth George Jr., whether that be, who are our cornerbacks? Kamal Hat. I like that's. I mean, that might be it.
Yeah, like I said, paper thin.
Yeah, man, that is paper thin. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if any more like young guys get some run in the bowl game. That's what I'm interested to see. Is will Christian Charles be healthy? Will he end up, trying to take one of those spots from Jalen McCullough or Trayvon Flowers? I was shocked that Trayvon Flowers went through the senior day thing because he can come back.
Yeah, I haven't heard much on that, but I know that Hendon Hooker stayed out of it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did not go through.
I mean, it's not like he wasn't. I mean, he knew that if he wasn't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just one of those. If he wasn't, it was still up in the air. He might as well do it just in case. But
yeah. And did he graduate early at Virginia Tech? Like, has he already gone through like senior day before? I'm not sure on that.
I don't know because he was. I wouldn't. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I know Joe Milton was a grad transfer. He graduated early. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's been a weird time. It's we're not worrying about a game. We're just about to watch the SEC championship and championship week. And then, everybody who's going into this transfer portal, all Tennessee fans are liking all the tweets, seeing like, oh, do we have any chances with this guy? I mean, every single person ain't coming to Tennessee. I'm telling you that right now. But it's fun to talk about. And a lot of those guys, Tennessee fans know from the recruiting process. Adrian Martinez was committed to Tennessee. Chris Bogle at Florida went to the transfer portal. He's a familiar face that, he had Tennessee's hat on the table when he picked Florida. So yes, it's fun to talk about, but I don't, Jahmyr Gibbs is the only person I'm just like, please God, go get that man. And I think we might be screwed a little bit because Jeremy Pruitt and Jim Chaney thought he would be better at defensive back than he would running back.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vols fans out of anybody have learned that, like we said, until like basically first they're fully signed on campus for normal recruits, we can't guarantee it. So Vol Twitter will talk and talk and talk all those kids up in as much hopes that you never know, and hopefully we can steal them last second, get a decommit or somewhere in the transfer portal. And I mean, you see it anytime, even like a thread of like 3 people deep on a commit doing like the 2 eyes emoji. You go to their mentions and it's like all Vol fans with the gifs and like see you at orange, like all orange emojis. I mean, like that's part of what, our fans are crazy.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not going to get any more love than you would with this fan base. I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly.
So we'll see. I mean, Tennessee they do have some momentum with recruits right now. It was a long time before, I think it was like over 100 days until we got Joshua Josephs. I think Charles Nimrod, and then it was like 100 days until we got Joshua Josephs. So kind of had a dry spell right there with recruiting. Didn't lose really anybody. Vincent Sneed, I guess. But didn't really lose anybody big. You just kind of just didn't get anybody. And I think a lot of those recruits were kind of wait and see what this team looks like. And Tennessee had a good year. I mean, Josh Heupel was the winningest Power 5 first-year head coach. And, going to a bowl game, dealing with, he had one of the toughest schedules in the country, losing 20 players in the transfer portal. I mean, when you say it like that, I mean, I know Kirby Smart's going to win SEC Coach of the Year, but Josh Heupel should be in the conversation.
Yeah, that stat actually kind of surprised me a little bit because I just feel like, I mean, I can't name every coach, but 7 wins. I mean, 8 would have been a different story. Is he tied for the most, or is that the outright number? Or that stat just stopped me for a second. I was like, okay, 7 wins. It's the most of.
I think it is the most. Because how many does Auburn have? Auburn has 6. South Carolina has 6. Now that's SEC. I'm not sure on what.
Yeah, I feel like
everybody else looks like. But yeah, it's tied for first if it's not outright first. So yeah, really good year. I mean, I know Walter Nolan's committed to Texas A&M, but after they beat Alabama, what the hell have they done? How do they have a top 4 recruiting class? I mean, this team was picked to win they were picked to beat Alabama and win the West. They had won. All they had to do was win out, and they just kind of crap the bed. They're not a good football team.
Yeah, that surprised me a little bit.
And 2 years ago, like that, I guess, no, last year, they were like 5th in the country. They were, people talked about they should make the college football playoff and not, I forget who the 4th team was. It doesn't really matter because they didn't win, but maybe it was Oklahoma. I don't know. But, yeah, a lot of people thought they should be in it. And for them to kind of crap the bed the way that they do with paying Jimbo Fisher that amount of money and having all those recruits, having a top 5 recruiting class coming in, they didn't impress me at all. Besides the win over Alabama, I mean, they're not going to win a national championship with Zach Calzada. I know Haynes King will come back from injury, but I don't know if he can win one either in the West.
No, I mean, it's definitely not the performance level you would expect to have Walter Nolan jumping on them right away. But
yeah, NCAA, what are we doing?
I don't know. Isn't that always the question, though?
I mean, we were like the top recruiting. We had the top recruiting class like 2 summers ago. And then it came out that we were cheating. So,
right.
That
was like prime time. Oh man, I remember that middle of COVID when we were just yanking recruits out of every corner of the country. Just 5-star after 5-star. That was fantastic. It was a good run while we had it, and then
it was fun. It gave us a lot of content to talk about during the off season. But And we're seeing a lot of those names come back up. Terrence Lewis is back in the portal.
Yeah, saw that.
God, there's more. I forget who else. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, we were in the running for him too, and then we told him to play freaking cornerback because Jeremy Pruitt couldn't recruit a dang DB to save his life, so he had to get an athlete or a guy that played receiver and quarterback and turn them into DBs. Luckily, Alontae Taylor and Bryce Thompson ended up being pretty good, but damn. There's a reason why those guys aren't coaching right now.
Right.
Or I guess Jeremy Pruitt's coaching. He's an analyst. He's an intern. Got any more questions?
Not that I see.
Texas A&M lost to LSU. That's bad.
Yeah. Hey, Coach O's on his way out the right way, though. I'll tell you that. And you know what? I should have hammered it because you were right. Teams right after they fire a coach are guaranteed. Florida. I was watching that Florida FSU game the whole game. I'm just like, damn it, dude. Like I knew it. That line was just not accurate.
Yeah, that was. I'm trying to see who all Texas A&M has lost to. They lost to Ole Miss. They lost to LSU. They lost to Arkansas. Ole Miss, is that it? I don't know. Like they're just not impressive. I'm just like, if you're going to pay your coach that amount, have all these 5-star prospects lined up to go to your program, wouldn't you expect to have a better season than, especially after you beat the hardest team that you had on your schedule, and then just crap the bed after that?
Yeah. Well, then.
Sorry, I'm getting on a Texas A&M rant. There's my pitch to Walter Nolan.
Yeah. Hey, if he's listening, they're trash, overrated.
Yeah.
So.
Good luck tomorrow night against Page. Hopefully, Powell can get a win. I don't think they've won a state championship. I think they've been twice, but I don't think they've actually won it. So, they lost to Mississippi State too.
Yeah, that was right before the
teams in the West. They're fourth in the West right now, and they beat Alabama. That's terrible.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
I don't see. Well, I guess.
And if we played a cupcake non-conference schedule, we'd be 8-4 too.
Yeah, we should be with the Pitt loss anyway. I'm still pissed about that, but whatever.
Yeah. Yep. Let's get in Neyland Renovations real quick. So my thought on this is like, you hate to see kind of that stuff go. A lot of memories, a lot of stuff, but dude, Neyland Stadium needed an upgrade in the worst way.
Oh, major. Yeah.
And this is going to make it look better. I know people love the 102,455 that it can hold. But, dude, like, how many times we fill that up this year? Twice? Maybe? I know once. Ole Miss. We might have been close against Georgia. But that stadium, it just doesn't fill up anymore. It's just hard to get people to go to the game with the comfort in their home with 4K TVs and – it's, I know COVID probably had something to do with that too. People would just rather, they watch all year from their house. So it's just an easier thing to do. It's not an all day event like it is if you go to the game. So I get it. And then, you mix that with ticket prices and concession sales and parking. I mean, that adds up. So, I mean, it just needed an upgrade and, lower the seat count if, the rich people want to go in there in the club seats and, the bar area and spend a whole bunch of money to make the season ticket prices a little bit lower. I'm cool with that. It's going to be if there's 80,000, 85,000 people in there, it's going to be plenty loud. I mean, like you said earlier, Tennessee fans are crazy. So it's going to be electric in there, no matter if there's 50,000 people in there. But I'd rather there be 50,000 and it be full then it hold 100,000, and we have 75,000 people in there, and you got all these seats up at top that are empty. That just doesn't look good.
Right. I mean, I'll realistically take 80, 90,000 people that are the, like nix out the 10, 20,000 that, the ones that we would lose anyway probably aren't the ones going crazy. Like, I'll take 70,000 screaming at the top of their lungs sold out every game before I'll take, the largest number, 102, 455, like you said. And you're right. Like, other teams and other stadiums are getting renovations. And I love Neyland, don't get me wrong, but some much needed renovations. So,
yeah. Do you have those renovations available?
yeah.
Do you have some
Yeah.
pictures of
So
those? What that's supposed to look like?
There's the main point, the whatever that be, the mezzanine bar, which I know is going to be the location of some fantastic drunk fights.
Oh, 100%. And I'm right up there. It's going to be electric. I can't wait.
Yeah. So there's going to be that new screen on the opposite end with, like, you can tell that mezzanine level in the bar, and then the new exclusive seat backs on that straightaway side opposite of the student section, which is like what I used to refer to everything. But so I mean, it'll be nice.
It's going to look good. The stadium's an eyesore. I mean, I know we like the tradition. If they want to give away some of that stuff, I'll gladly take a seat or something.
Yeah.
Whatever piece of the building just for memories, I guess. But Tennessee, it needed an upgrade. I mean, if our whole thing is recruiting the way that it is, you go up to the stadium, you're like, this thing is big, but this thing looks gross.
Yeah, if I'm touring recruits around, I'm gonna avoid that whole G10 side, just down towards the bottom where some of those entrances are, because it's just worn down, and it feels like you're in the basement of like an old building, and not like. Whereas if you're coming down the straightaway there and you just see Neyland Stadium right on the front, it looks gorgeous. But then you're right, you get around some other parts, and you're like, damn.
Yeah, it's like, man, can we get a pressure washer? I mean, holy crap.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the foundational buildings from damn 1800s.
Yeah. Got the body farm underneath it too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and then we did have a question about the renovations. Tim Smith says, why aren't they working on the east side concourses? That's the part of the stadium that has needed renovations for years. They made the west side look great, but it bottlenecks around the north and south ends. I mean, this is just the plans that they want to do. I mean, that's probably in the works as well, is to, make that east side look a lot better. But hey, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that.
I'm sure they're in the plans, but right now, where they are, they're going to look at it and say, okay, well, we could fix the outside, and that is appealing for the fans we have now, but what's going to draw in more fans and more money? Because
yeah, it's like the concourses, they're not great, but you want to make that, you want to put people in seats, and put people in seats is the inside of the stadium, not the concourses.
Right.
So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what it looks like. I was one of the select few that didn't have to move seats. I know some people did, and I hate that, but I mean, it's just part of it. Like, it had to be done.
Yeah, I mean,
we're just gonna wait till Neyland Stadium just like disintegrates and just falls apart until we start like working on it.
Yeah. I mean, at least in my position, if I was a ticket holder, I would be willing to take a moved seat for the betterment of a little visual and.
Yeah, give your all for Tennessee, baby.
Yeah, if you're gonna get behind us, don't be selfish.
Slap that sign.
Damn straight.
But I get it though. I mean, some of those people have been in those seats for 30-some years, so I do hate that. I've only been in mine for 5 or 6. I mean, I've had seats before, then we sold ours, and then we got more when I got out of college. So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely feel your pain. I wouldn't want to give up my seats. It's like if I see somebody sitting in my seat, like that makes me fuming mad.
Yeah.
So
No, there's definitely some emotional sentiment there.
yeah, blood, sweat, and tears, baby.
It's fair.
Yeah, I like what you said about drunk fights. There's going to be a lot right there.
Dude, it's gonna be fantastic. I can't wait to see it actually finished and just those little standing tables and stuff. I can picture it right now.
Yeah, somebody's getting
Awesome.
choke slam on one of those.
Yeah.
What else? Hoops.
Yes, sir.
The Blue Hose took it to
Yeah.
them. I mean, we're down 10-8 at one point, and we went on a 15-0 run in the first half and just didn't look back from there. We lit it up from three. We were 14 of 27 on 26 assists. So we just took care of business. What was the line? 24, and we won by 42.
Yeah, it's good. I feel a little bit better confidence knowing that like when Olivier Kamwa and Fulkerson slack, we pick it up on the other side. Victor Bailey ends up scoring a little bit more. So like we have some depth there. The roster goes pretty deep. So it gives me confidence, when we're going into March and going into the SEC tournament that it's not one of those if you have an off game, we're screwed. Like, which worried me with Villanova a little bit. I felt like our depth was like what should be there versus how it should. But I'll write that off as an off game right now. Granted, it was Presbyterian. I mean, I was supposed to go to the game actually, and I forgot completely that I had to pick my brother up from the airport. So that text came through, and I was like, change plans. I was like literally all ready to go and everything. But you know what? It's fine. We got Colorado.
Family comes first.
Right. He owes me one, but.
Yeah, I worry. What is this team? Because I saw it a little bit against Presbyterian when Kenny Chandler is not on the floor. There is a big drop off. It seems like to me.
Yeah.
And I know he's probably our best player, and I know we're going to rely on him to carry us. And I just think that's really dangerous to have a true freshman, kind of carry your team. I mean, that's what Jaden's. I know Kenny Chandler is a lot different than Jaden Springer and Keon Johnson in terms of, he's able to get to the rim and find his own shot and get people involved. But I thought we were a little too reliant on Jaden Springer and Keon Johnson last year, and that's what was our downfall. It just looked like no one else besides Vescovi could find their own shot.
Right. That's the thing you don't want to slip into, being in that weird phase right now, where like we're gonna have some one and dones, especially building traction on recruiting, and the better we play, obviously, just the more likely are that you're gonna get some really high class freshmen in there that are gonna be one and done. And you hope that you can build on players that will stick around for a little while. And that's really where obviously I want to see Kenny Chandler do fantastic, but it's really the players that I expect to be here a little longer that I want to see develop and like build some depth, because again, like you said, Kenny Chandler has this presence with him that like when he's moving, he's quick energy, and I feel like it just feels very fluent and like solid. And then when he comes off, it's not really, there's like a gap there, like in leadership, where it's like, okay, like it doesn't feel as high paced. It feels like there might be a little bit of uncertainty. So like just building a little bit of better key elements for those people that we know stick around a little longer would make me feel a lot more confident.
Yeah, and John Fulkerson, I wonder what kind of playing shape he's in. It doesn't seem like the same John Fulkerson that we've, been accustomed to, before last year. I know last year was just a weird year in general. He only had 4 points, but he did have 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 24 minutes of play. I just need more from him and Olivier. I just need more. If this team really wants to compete for a national championship, they're going to have to step up. Another thing, I think Brandon Hulley Hatfield has to play more minutes than Urosh. Okay, like Urosh doesn't give us much.
I agree with that, 1,000%.
And maybe it goes into that trust factor, but hey, we need to be on him every single day, so we're able to. Trust him against Presbyterian. Okay, we won by 42 points. Urosh shouldn't play more minutes than Brandon Hulley Hatfield ever. especially in a game where you can, he's a true freshman. This is a game where he can go and probably dominate and be just fine. Get him more minutes, get him more reps.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Especially like you're saying right now, where our schedules, we got a hard schedule this year. We got some teams that definitely are going to like be a little more testy. I'd say, especially against teams against like Presbyterian. Let's see. Huntley Hatfield, I know Uros only had one extra minute over him, but I would way rather see Huntley Hatfield on the floor more than Uros, because you're right. Uros was in for 15 minutes, and I don't think he had any points. I think he had a couple rebounds and assists, but for 15 minutes of play, I would rather see Huntley Hatfield on the floor and get him used to.
Yeah, I mean, Uros had 4 rebounds. Quentin Debunji played 6 minutes and had 3 rebounds. So, I mean,
right.
He doesn't give me enough to think he deserves more playing time or as much play, even close to the amount of playing time Huntley Hatfield should. Another guy, I know Victor Bailey Jr. played well the other night against Presbyterian. Was 4 for 8 from 3, 4 for 8 from the field with 14 points. But Justin Powell,
Dog.
He needs to play more. And if Josiah is not, if he's not healthy, Justin Powell should be a starter. I'm sorry, he should.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
5 for 5 from 3, 15 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. I mean, he just impacts the game. It seems like a lot more than Victor Bailey Jr. I know Victor Bailey Jr. played well, the best game he's played so far this season. But still, 1 assist, no rebounds, no steals. I mean, you got to give me something else besides just shooting threes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's when Powell's out there again, it's one of those like high tempo. You feel confident. I mean, if he's going 5 or 6 from 3, after the second one's made, you start getting pretty confident. You're like, okay, well, yes, you take threes. It's the games that Vescovi will be like 1 for 4 already, and we just keep putting up threes because we refuse to try to get in the paint. But when we can keep nailing those threes down, and like when Chandler's making them and Bailey's making them, that's the thing, is like we at least have depth in that regard. Because it feels like Powell and Bailey, if he's having a good night, and Kane Chandler and Vescovi, obviously, like all those guys can, if they're dialed in, can nail some threes. But if they're not, it is so frustrating to just watch us keep putting up the same shots that just aren't falling.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many teams that's going to beat Tennessee with the talent that they have and with the shooting ability they have, unless we have a bad night from 3. Live by the 3, die by the 3. Bruce Pearl does it. Alabama does it. It just seems like that's part of the game now. But Tennessee's got a lot of shooters. I mean, Ziegler was 2 for 3. I mentioned we went 14 for 27. We shot over almost 52% from 3. So if you're shooting like that, not a lot of teams are going to beat you. Now, can you do that against a quality opponent? I know you did against North Carolina, but you didn't against Villanova, and you paid for it.
Right, which scares me a little bit, because if you can, I know it's Presbyterian, like you said, but if you can shoot over 50% from the 3 against any team, and you can still get up those quality shots, even if you're playing like a really more solid defensive team, you're still going to be able to get a good amount of looks from 3, I feel like, at least as opposing of like, trying to drive in. And so at that point, I feel like you really do have a good chance of beating a lot of those teams, but it's consistency. If you can't consistently do that, and we're going to keep putting up shots and end up around 20%, it's not going to work. We saw that against Villanova, which was not a good look.
Yeah. Tennessee is back in action Saturday at 2:00 against Colorado. Is that at home?
No, I thought it's Colorado's credited with the home game, but it's not neutral site, is it? It's at Colorado, I think. Yeah. I know it's not a home game.
Okay. It's at Colorado.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was a neutral site or if it was at Colorado.
It's at Colorado.
Okay.
I guess they played here last year. I don't really remember that, but that seems like a freaking decade ago.
That does. Yeah, I saw that today because I remember playing them, and I just looked back and I felt I could have sworn Schofield was on the team when we played Colorado last, so that's just
Yeah. But Colorado's 6-2. They're fourth in the Pac-12. They've lost to Southern Illinois and number 5 UCLA by 12. Who they beat? They beat Stanford. They beat
Duquesne.
Brown. Yeah, they haven't really beaten a ton of quality opponents, but this is this is a better opponent than Presbyterians. Tennessee's got to get ready. And who do we have after Colorado? Is it Texas Tech?
Yeah,
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. That's neutral site, I'm pretty sure. Yes, that's at Madison Square Garden. Okay. And then we go on another couple stretches, but then later down we got Memphis, Arizona, and Alabama back to back. So,
and all 3 of those are ranked as of now.
So get these tester games. It's not Presbyterian, but it's not.
We need to go beat the crap out of Memphis. They suck.
I hate Memphis with a passion. That game's going to be a little more worrisome when we get to it, just because it's at Memphis. Oh well, actually it's Nashville, but some of all these damn neutral site games.
We're not playing a lot of. I think Arizona's at home. Yeah, we don't have a ton of big home games this year.
Yeah, that's why I looked at that before, and obviously the Arizona game's 3 days before Christmas, so I won't be here. But that's what I was looking at this before the season. I was a little disappointed that there weren't an insane amount out of the teams that we're playing and the games that we have. Not a lot of them are home games, so I was a little disappointed there. But it's all right.
Yep, so Tennessee will be back in action on Saturday, 2:00. Weird start time, but check that out against Colorado. And let's get some college football. Championship week.
Yes, sir.
We got Friday, you got Oregon and Utah. Let's just pick these games real quick. Oregon and Utah, who you got?
Let's do it. Oregon covers a spread.
Oh, 2.5?
But I don't know about money line.
I'm gonna go Utah. They destroyed Oregon, and I look for them to do kind of the same thing they did. I don't know if they beat them that bad, but it seemed like they got a good game plan. So I know it's hard to beat a team twice, but Utah wants that Pac-12 crown. I'm going to Utes. Then Saturday at noon, you got Baylor, Oklahoma State. This has playoff implications.
Yes. I watched that Oklahoma State game. That was the only thing that worries me is Oklahoma State capitalized more on Oklahoma's faults than they just beat them outright, which scares me a little bit with a 5.5 line. But I feel like Oklahoma State played a little too well, so I'd give them that one.
You're going to take Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
I'll take Oklahoma State, too. I don't like 5.5. I'm not touching that.
No, I wouldn't. That's why it's a little scary.
But I do like their quarterback, Sanders. I thought he played phenomenal against Oklahoma. And it'd be cool to. I don't like Mike Gundy at all, but I would like to see Oklahoma just make things interesting by getting in the playoff.
Yeah, I feel that. I wish he had the mullet still, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Then you got Utah State and San Diego State. Brady Hoke, baby, going for the Mountain West Championship in all caps.
Yeah. What's the spread on that one?
It's 6. Yeah.
Again, San Diego State probably wins, but I wouldn't touch that line. But I'm retired from betting, so it doesn't matter. But if I wasn't, I wouldn't touch it anyway because that's just a big number. It scares me.
Yeah. You'll be back for the college football playoff or bowl season.
Oh, I will. I'm sure I'll end up having it on the Georgia-Bama game before I know it on Saturday. So,
I'm going to go San Diego State too. Brady Hoke gets it done. I'm surprised he's not in the running for some of these coaching jobs.
Yeah.
Then you got Appalachian State, Louisiana, Raging Cajuns for the Sun Belt.
App State's -3. I would take Louisiana to cover that and outright. Why not?
And their coach is gone. They didn't
Right.
fire him, though, so is that different?
I'll have to do some
Napier's going to
research, but
Florida.
I feel like the same principle still applies. Lose your
Okay.
coach, unless it's some sort of like awful interim situation. But I'm gonna ride that notion that teams
Okay.
that the following week. I'll take Louisiana.
Man. I bet on App State a lot this year. I'm going to roll with App State and Chase Bryce. It's at Louisiana. That's different.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, underdogs by 3 points at home. I mean, come
That
on.
never usually works out,
It feels like
especially in
a little bit
basketball.
trap.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I'm sticking App State. I'm going with my gut. App State.
Okay. I'm also
We
not
got the big
I don't
one.
bet on App State, so
The big one, Georgia, Alabama.
that's gonna be a fantastic game.
That line is such a trap. It's not even funny.
I know. Well, because in my mind, after watching Alabama barely beat Auburn last week, which was such a good game to watch, I'm like Georgia by 1,000, but it's a trap game. I wouldn't touch it. I would watch it and enjoy it, and
It's Saban.
maybe bet the under. That's probably all
I
I
know
would do.
he lost a freaking crab game to Jimbo Fisher, but he does not lose to assistants. Is he going to lose the two in the same year?
No way. But that's different. Maybe.
But the
maybe
thing
it's just
is-
sheer downfall.
The thing is if Georgia loses this game, they're still in it. They're going to they'll probably play again
Yeah.
for the title. So, I mean, you're going to Alabama. I don't think Alabama beats Georgia twice. I'd be shocked.
No chance. Even if Georgia were to slip up in that game again, that we would assume that they would both get in, and Georgia would probably take that second game. So I guess Georgia winning would not mean as much chaos for the playoff, but at least change it up a little bit, because now you got teams from behind like Oklahoma State and stuff that you're saying, oh, Alabama literally went to fourth overtime against an Auburn team that's unranked.
If Alabama wins this game, I don't think Cincinnati gets in the playoff.
So you would say, who would you say it is? So it's still Georgia, Alabama, Michigan.
and Oklahoma State.
So you put Oklahoma State in. Okay. I like it.
They got to get in, right? If they win, they got to get in over
Oklahoma State?
Cincinnati. Yeah, it's a Power 5 conference champion.
Yeah.
You only have one loss. You got to get in.
Yeah, I mean, seeing how they
Now, if Oklahoma State loses, does Notre Dame get a shot?
Not without Brian Kelly. I don't think that they would. Do you really put in a team to the playoffs that just lost their? I mean, technically, it's probably like a good story, but I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, Notre Dame shot themselves in the foot by not having a conference.
Yeah,
I mean, they're done. They're done. They have nothing else to really showcase. That's all they got.
Right.
The next one, again, college football playoff implications: Houston and Cincinnati for the American.
Cincinnati is going to have to win that game, because if they don't again, that's pretty big. I mean, if Houston wins that, that's going to shake up everything again. That's going to put Oklahoma State in. I don't know. The college football playoff could be insane.
I'm not doing 10.5.
No, I wouldn't even. I wouldn't even touch it if it was 6.5.
Yeah, I might do Houston to cover, but I'm probably going Cincinnati to win.
Yeah,
but Houston's a pretty good football team.
This could be one of your super teasers. You can get the Cincinnati.
Ooh, yeah, 23 points.
State, App State.
Dude, I've been screwed on that so many times. I need to stop doing it.
It sounds like a good deal until like the one game that like nothing goes the right way.
Screws you.
Screws everything up. Yeah. But yeah, I would go Cincinnati in that game.
Okay. And then Michigan, Iowa for the Big Ten. Michigan's going to destroy them.
Yeah.
Iowa's not.
Iowa's not good. They're not.
They should have got beaten by Nebraska. Nebraska just freaking bent over and took it in the last quarter. They got outscored by 19 points. They had a block punt. I mean, it was ugh. Hassan Haskin had 5 touchdowns against Ohio State last week. I was gonna 11 points. I'm not touching that. But
No.
yeah, I'm gonna go Michigan.
Okay, I like that. Yeah,
You
11
going
points
Michigan
isn't away. Even though Iowa stinks, but relatively here. I mean, obviously, but 11
Surprised
points
they're 13th.
away. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's shocking. But yeah, Michigan's got to win this game with some degree of confidence. And if not, chaos. So
Chaos, baby. ACC championship at 8:00 on ABC. Pittsburgh, Wake Forest.
that is going to be fun. Little Kenny Pickett, little Heisman showcase.
Who do you think wins the Heisman? It's Bryce Young, right?
I thought that, but I looked at the rankings and the numbers are like way favoring Kenny Pickett. Which
Kenny Pickett to win it?
Yeah, it had to be out of like a fan poll or something because it had like I don't know. I just looked at that. And I remember I did a double take and then kept swiping, but I was just like, I'll look at that later. And I don't know if it's because of Alabama, especially last week against Auburn, that just looked not too sure what they were doing and a little testy, but okay.
I was thinking Bryce Young, like that was his moment in the Iron Bowl, was to drive down the field and take it in overtime and win it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where I saw it. It was on Twitter, which I shouldn't get any.
But this game, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest, I'm going Pitt. Wake Forest doesn't have a defense, so I'm going Pitt.
Pitt's just they look too good this year. It's not home, which would worry me a little bit, but Wake Forest isn't really one of those teams that I'd be like, oh, their home presence is going to really alter this game. It's Wake Forest.
So the odds right now is Bryce Young minus 220, CJ Stroud plus 450, Matt Corral plus 2,000, Kenny Pickett plus 2,000, Adrian Hutchinson plus 2,000.
Okay, I don't know what I must have seen some sort of special thing because that's why I was confused because I was like, okay, well, there's 2 people, and I thought maybe just this was like based off this week's performance because so CJ Stroud for Ohio State lost, and then Bryce Young, obviously Alabama looked to struggle against Auburn, but I don't know. So I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. I feel like Bryce Young's probably got to run away with that. CJ Stroud, and
yeah, he shot himself in the foot last week against Michigan.
Yeah.
Coaching carousel a little bit. Let's talk about you have Lincoln Riley to USC, you have Brian Kelly to LSU. I think that was kind of breaking news when we were on the show last on Monday. And then the most recent news is Marcus Freeman hired at Notre Dame. Got the promotion, was their offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator and a linebackers coach. And apparently they're keeping the same offensive coordinator. He was asked to go to LSU with Brian Kelly, and he declined and stayed there with Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, I guess this was probably one of those things that was like heavily going on behind the scenes before anything happened because I would have expected them to take it to the offseason instead of moving forward so quickly, like settling everything in. So there's definitely a couple of things I've heard that make me realize that I think most people involved had a little bit of indication beforehand because all these different people are asked to go to these places. So I don't know, but I wouldn't feel as confident as a Notre Dame fan, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it seems like everybody else has made kind of a splash hire and they just promoted from within. I'm not saying it can't work. You have, I think, a 29-year-old offensive coordinator and then a 35-year-old head coach, against one of the most, they're a blue blood in college football.
Yeah. Maybe they're just trying a new school approach.
Yeah, that just seems kind of nuts to me. A lot of the players and recruits wanted Marcus Freeman to be the head guy, and maybe they're just listening to that, keeping that recruiting class intact. It's somebody that they trust already. I don't know. It just seems very weird that Notre Dame, when you have LSU and USC and even Florida making a sitting head coach, their head coach, and then they hire from within. Just seems a little odd, but hey, risky, but maybe it pays off for them.
Yeah, seems very on par for a team without a conference. So.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Notre Dame gets in the college football playoff just because Brian Kelly left.
Yeah. Well, and that whole thing was, I don't know how much you guys covered it because I just remember it broke, but it was basically like he sent him a late night like grooming text or something like that after it broke online, and emergency meeting the next morning, which is kind of out to LSU. And last night he already was doing the LSU promo at the basketball game and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm
apparently his meeting that morning was 11 minutes.
Yeah, the video that came out that I saw on Twitter was only like 4, and it was like a very cliche, like, you guys are a strong team and all this stuff that you're just like, I don't know what's going on in that locker room. But
yeah, he's just not I just don't like him. He's just not a good person, number one. Killed a kid. And I mean, the way that Butch Jones just wants to be him kind of makes me sick. To even think about what kind of person Brian Kelly is if Butch Jones wants to be you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope Notre Dame gets in just because Brian Kelly bolted for LSU and they're gonna finally get in the college football playoff.
Yeah, Brian Kelly gives me like generic Bill Belichick vibes. Like it just gets
food club brand.
Yeah. Like it's just that kind of like quiet, stern, kind of like mysterious kind of guy, but like, look, he seems like an asshole, like to the basic viewer. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. And apparently Marcus Freeman's done like most of their recruiting and stuff at Notre Dame, so it hasn't even been Brian Kelly. So do people even like this guy? I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's probably going to do well at LSU. I mean, Coach O did. So, I mean, he'll probably do fine, but I hope he fails. It's going to be fun to beat the crap out of them in Death Valley next year. I'll say that.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000%. I'm there.
I'm there too. Let's get it.
It'll be interesting at least. Change up for LSU.
All right. You go segments. You got any what's trending?
I did have originally.
That was kind of what's trending, I guess, too. So.
Yeah. And then I was like just looking into it before it came on, but LeBron was like out with COVID stuff, and then apparently now it was a false positive, but there's like all these crazy rumors swirling around that it was some Odell Beckham stuff, where it was like, oh, well, was it really a false positive? Is this new test fake? Whatever. But I don't know. Is LeBron 30? Is he working his way around?
He might. Good for him. Be dirty. I do know a lot of people have gotten a booster, and like my boss got it, and he's been sick for like days.
Really? So it's not like the typical vaccine, like knocks you out for
24 hours. Yeah. No, he's been kind of out of it for 2 days, so I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it, and I'm not getting into politics. Or if you want to get vaccinated, go get vaccinated. If you don't, you don't. Oh well.
Yeah.
What's trending? Did you see Drake at the game, at the NBA game the other night? I think it was the Suns, maybe. It was somebody. But like they put him on the jumbotron, and some old guy's sitting next to him, and they're like coming up and shaking his hand, dabbing him up, and the guy was like, "Hey, are you famous?" And then they got this like great photo of them, just like loved up with one another.
I feel like Drake is just like there's parts of like he'll just do whatever he wants at those basketball games. Like he'll get up and like chirp in LeBron's ear, like talk to somebody, like right up, like he'll get like halfway on the court, like talk to the coach. It's fun to watch. I would love to see one in person.
Well, he actually took a video. He took a picture and posted on Instagram, and it was like, "These are my parents," and it's like the old guy and his wife.
That's awesome. It's like humbling. I bet it's probably actually a nice little. Are you famous? Do I know? Like
I should know. I don't have any more. We kind of went through that.
I guess I just thought about it. Let me get this right, just because it seems a little.
Ooh, I got one more too.
You go ahead and do yours.
Arkansas Pine Bluff's head coach called a timeout in their game against Iowa State tonight and made them run sprints.
I saw that. Ultimate coach move right there.
Yeah, that's some Coach Carter stuff right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's you know what? If you're I didn't see the video though. Like I saw stuff, but like I don't know how it entirely played out. Like was it just like, all right, just hold up on this game, like go run some sprints?
I guess that's what it was. I don't really know. They got beat by like 20, so it didn't work.
Okay. I was just about to say I'm going to bet Arkansas Pine Bluffs line next time, but I will not. Mine was after that shooting in Michigan. What that was, that one of the students, Tate Meyer, was a football player, and I think he was the one that got up and tried to disarm the shooter. And so now there's a big push to rename the stadium after him and just like recognize him. So I thought that was obviously pretty cool and a pretty awesome thing to do, you know.
Yeah. Putting your life on the line.
Yeah.
You got any more what's trending?
I don't.
I got some stupid stuff. You want to hear some of these?
Oh, yeah.
So President Tate at LSU says he told Scott Woodard the LSU Tigers need a claw. Apparently Woodward looked at him funny and said, Tate says he means somebody with character, leadership, academics, and winning. And this man went and hired Brian Kelly. Oh, God. And they employed Will Wade. Will Wade is like, what?
Yeah. No, all that felt really rushed and didn't seem like the best.
Also, did you see this? And I can't wait. I saved it, and I can't wait to use it next year when we beat them in Death Valley.
That's awesome. He just got the little L handed up.
Yep. He's ready.
No, I love that. But, yeah, I kind of feel that same way. Just, I don't really know what was going on there. But, again, you want to make some – it only betters us. So,
yep.
Maybe. Hopefully. I don't know if that might come back to bite me. Don't clip that. My stupidity would have to be, which I already covered a little bit, but I can't tell. It's always me, but I'm just going to go with Duke basketball this time and Coach K there was that moment where they were down 3 anyway, and you could tell they were going to lose, but they had a timeout to use coming back down the court, and there was like 5 seconds, and they were just bringing it down, and they just didn't call the timeout, and it just felt very like you're at an away game, you got a loud crowd, the odds that you're going to go down, and with 3 seconds left, shut the whole stadium up off a 3, like without calling a timeout, that's right there. And of course I'm biased because I have money on it, but it just seemed very stupid.
Yeah, especially with a bunch of freshmen, don't you just want to
right?
Maybe quiet the crowd as much as you can? Who knows?
That's what I'm saying. Like, and they were loud because they had just obviously, that they made like 2 threes in a row and did like a block and everything, so the place was bumping, and then it was whatever.
Yeah,
it's over.
My last one is Pro Football Focus. They tweeted James Robinson career rushing, 352 attempts, 0 fumbles. 4 days later, this man has his first fumble in the NFL.
It's the ultimate jinx.
God, Pro Football Focus.
You can't do that. That's the same as the Justin Tucker when he didn't miss like a extra point in like 4 years or something and shanked one. Like you just
Yeah,
if someone's hot, you don't touch on it.
let it be.
It's not even like a really necessary stat. Like, oh, this many snaps, no fumbles. Like I could have gone without knowing that. You knew you were doing that. It's just putting bad vibes on him.
Bad stuff. That's all I got for stupidity. You got any more?
No, that's all I got.
Awesome. Hey man, it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun getting back at it. You're back home from the holidays. Did you have a good holiday?
Yeah. Obviously, I spent most of it with the flu, which was not ideal. So I was basically bedridden.
You're back and better than ever, right?
Yep. That's all that matters.
Did you lose any weight?
Yeah, I basically didn't eat for like 2 days straight. I just like literally like, and I tried, and it was just I like wanted to throw up every single thing that I ate. So I was gross. I was bad. So, but I'm good now. I still got a lingering cough, but other than that, good Thanksgiving. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good.
Some
We
good
don't really
sports.
travel. We just go to my parents' house, and they live like not even 10 minutes away from us. So it's nice to just kind of not having to travel because we've done that before, and it's miserable. So yeah, it was good, real good. I gained weight. You lost weight. I gained weight.
That's what you're supposed. That on normal conditions, that's what you're supposed to do on Thanksgiving. Though you should gain weight.
Yeah.
Depending on who's cooking.
Yeah. A lot of good food for sure. I just finished the last of the leftovers a couple days ago, which they might have been old, but it's all good.
Thanksgiving
Potatoes
leftovers are prime.
Oh yeah,
Like
100%.
I was telling my dad like we should just skip the normal meal and just like make it the day before and just like on actual Thanksgiving Day just eat leftovers because like the cold turkey sandwiches. Don't get me
Oh
started.
yeah,
That's where it's at.
cold turkey. My man Joe's
Yep.
loving some cold turkey. That's awesome. All right, man. Well, guys, we appreciate y'all listening in. We will be back Sunday talking about, I'm sure, more recruiting news. We'll talk about Tennessee's, hopefully, their win over Colorado on Saturday. So, got a lot to cover. Keep following us on Twitter. Follow our personal accounts as well. We're bringing the boat in.